On October 1st, a man named Stephen Paddock opened fire from his hotel suite onto a country music festival in Las Vegas, killing 58 people and injuring 546 more. While this was the deadliest mass shooting in the recent history of the United States, this is far from the first and only. In fact, according to the New York Times, there have been 521 mass shootings between October 2nd and June 12, 2016, the day of the previous deadliest mass shooting in recent history, the Pulse nightclub massacre in Orlando, Florida. To be clear, that is 521 mass shootings in 477 days. Obviously, something needs to change, and the first step towards improvement is knowledge. So today, we'd like to debunk some myths surrounding gun control. The National Rifle Association has long insisted that allowing Americans to carry firearms makes communities safer. But John Donohue, a Stanford law professor, analyzed crime data from 1977 to 2014, and not only didn't he find any evidence that areas where more Americans carried guns had higher public safety or less crime, he in fact discovered the opposite.
We also can look at right to carry laws and say, we know on average crime is higher after these laws are passed relative to the states that didn't pass them.
According to Professor Donohue's analysis, violent crime in right-to-carry states was estimated to be 13 to 15% higher than the states that didn't adopt right-to-carry laws. So more guns lead to more gun violence. Well, then we should just increase gun control. Right, Senator John McCain?
To think that somehow gun control is, or increased gun control is the answer, in my view, that would have to be proved.
Gun rights enthusiasts habitually claim that there is no evidence that gun control reduces gun violence. But there is. Just look at Australia. After the 1996 Port Arthur massacre that claimed 35 lives, Australia passed legislation that tightly controlled semi and fully automatic weapons, like the ones Paddock used in Las Vegas. After that, Down Under didn't experience another mass shooting for over a decade, and gun deaths significantly decreased. So why doesn't America do what the Aussies did? Well, somebody doesn't want gun control, and apparently that somebody is God. Isn't that right, Senator Chuck Grassley?
The Second Amendment recognizes the God-given right to self-defense.
First off, the same founding fathers who wrote the Constitution also believed in a separation of church and state, so let's keep God out of this. Thank you. Second, if you actually look at the Second Amendment, it doesn't say anything about self-defense.
Second Amendment is a short amendment adopted in 1791, and it just says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms will not be infringed.
From the beginning, the Second Amendment had nothing to do with individual gun ownership rights. In fact, the late Chief Justice Warren Burger described the idea that the Second Amendment gives an unfettered individual rights to guns as, quote, a fraud on the American public. It wasn't until the 2008 U.S. Supreme Court case, District of Columbia versus Heller, which shut down a law that banned handguns in the home, that the Second Amendment was applied to individuals. This change in interpretation is all thanks to the NRA. Since the 70s, this gun lobbying group has toiled tirelessly to reframe the Second Amendment and prohibit any form of gun control by perpetuating the aforementioned gun myths and funding politicians such as Pence and McCain and Grassley and all their fellow Republicans to legislate in their favor. The group spent over $50 million on the various 2016 campaigns alone. Why? Because the gun industry is a business, like Big Pharma or Big Tobacco. According to the Washington Examiner, 2017 gun sales are projected to surpass $25 million. And that's the real reason the NRA doesn't want any form of gun control. Because if gun control laws make it harder to buy guns, it also makes it harder for the NRA-backed gun industry to sell guns. And they want to sell as many guns as possible, even if it is to people like Stephen Paddock.